So yes, 3 months with this guy here, the Steam Deck. Now, Steam Deck is a very special machine. Now, some people call it a console, but it's technically not a console. I mean, you turn this guy on and you usually, yeah, you have that console experience, but it's a PC. It's a portable PC. Now, 3 months later, do I regret buying this or not? Well, I'll answer your questions in this video. Yeah. Alright, so first of all, I want to really talk about the biggest negative point, the biggest negative thing about this console here, the Steam Deck. And that has to do with stock. Now, I know that stock is not something that depends 100% on Valve. It has to do with all the situation going on with the industry. But yeah, getting your hands on this thing is extremely hard. You can either buy one directly from eBay for a crazy price, or you can officially buy it from the Steam store, but you will have to wait probably around a year to get your own Steam Deck. If you want to get it for a reasonable price. So yeah, I think that's the first thing I want to say, and I'm so glad though that I bought this thing when it got announced. I got the Steam Deck 3 months ago, and I really do not regret buying this thing. Now, I think this thing is a revolution, even for the Linux gaming community. If you're a gamer and you are interested in Linux, thanks to the Steam Deck is actually impulsing, it's actually pushing the Linux gaming space forward, because it's just making a lot of games compatible, it's just making so many things work, and gaming on Linux is becoming something incredibly reliable thanks to this. So that's the first big thing I gotta say with this, because yes, this is running on Linux, this is not running on Windows, but wow, it's so good. It's so good. Although, yes, I do have to say that when this thing got released back in February, software was still a bit buggy, was not fully complete, and still to this day, software is getting updates all the time. Like every week you get like an update, and I can do a video right now about the Steam Deck, but maybe in 2-3 weeks I can make a totally new video about the Steam Deck, and I'll be talking to you about new features. So it's pretty crazy. I'll talk to you about some of those new features later, but yeah, I do believe that this thing got released a bit early than expected, because software is still in development in a way. So we are in a way beta testers, which I don't mind, but I do understand that maybe some people won't like that, but whatever. Now, I do have to say about the software, I did suffer a big problem when I got this thing on its first week, and I was just playing games normally. I was playing Elden Ring, especially because it got released right in that moment. I was playing different games, Elden Ring, Sims 4, whatever, and suddenly when I wanted to switch games, I couldn't launch any games. Like there was not a single game that was going to start. It would freeze and it wouldn't do anything. So it seems like Proton, which is the compatibility layer that Linux uses to run these games from Windows, for some reason it got deactivated or uninstalled. I don't know what happened, and I had to format my Steam Deck in order to run all the games again. Now, this thing only happened to me once, it only happened to me one day, and I was in the beta channel of the updates for the firmware back in the day, back in March. So today, I haven't seen a single person suffer about this. I haven't seen anybody report this nowadays, so technically that shouldn't be a problem. But I just say it just in case. That's the biggest issue I suffered with Steam Deck, because now everything I have to say about this thing is mostly positive. So first of all, this thing is freedom. Like, if I talk to you about the Steam Deck, I'm talking about freedom. I'm talking about a machine that is capable of not only playing games, but it gives you the freedom for you to decide how you want to play the games. Now, this is something that it really blows my mind. So all the good perks that PCs have for gaming, they go here on the Steam Deck. Now, if you are a console player, like someone who plays on the PS5, Xbox, or Switch, whatever, any console, maybe for a console player that suddenly jumps into a Steam Deck, maybe this is a bit overwhelming, but if you are in the PC space already, you're used to these things, wow, this kind of freedom is actually pretty good. Launching a game, going to the options, setting the options and setting the graphics the way you want them to look, the way you want them to run, it's just incredible. But something that I really find amazing is that you can also control how much you want your battery to last. Because I haven't seen many people talk about this. Now, yeah, you can actually open up a menu on the Steam Deck where you can actually control the battery. You can control how much energy consumption this thing does or has or whatever. The thermal power limit, you can change it. So instead of 15 watts all the time, you can run it at 10 watts or 5 watts, depending on the game. So that makes the energy consumption lower, so that makes the battery last longer, which is incredibly positive. So depending on the game, you want to configure this a lot. So for example, Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls Remastered, right? So I run this at 4 watts, 60 FPS with half rate shading, right? So that makes that game last for 4 hours on my Steam Deck. Same thing for Doom 3, playing Doom 3 on BFG Edition here on the Steam Deck, again, 4 watts, 60 FPS, and I can run this game for 4.5 hours, which is pretty good. Then for more demanding games, I have, for example, God of War. God of War, the 2018 game, the PS4 game, God of War, running it at 9 watts and at 30 FPS. The game can run for 2 hours and 40 minutes around that. I mean, it's approximate, right? Sometimes it could be more, sometimes it could be less, depending on the exact parts of the game you're playing. But yeah, the average for me is 2 hours and 40 minutes, which is pretty decent. Elden Ring, again, 2 hours and 40 minutes average, more or less. You can control all those things, and I love that. I really love that. Freedom is a big part of the Steam Deck. Also, what I was talking to you about, constant updates the firmware is getting, now you can actually have all these profiles for energy consumption and performance, like FPS limits and stuff like that. You can now have a per user profile for each game. So for example, for Dark Souls, I have the user profile of 60 FPS, 4 watts, boom. Or for Elden Ring, 10 watts, 30 FPS, boom. And so it automatically sets those settings each time I enter one of those games. Incredible, and I love that. And that's something, by the way, that the community asked Valve to include, and Valve actually listened to the community, and they did that. So I'm really happy Valve is listening to the community. Same thing for the 40 Hertz refresh rate, which is something that people asked, and Valve included. So now you can run games at 40 FPS if you want, which is a good thing for games that are not a fully stable 60 FPS experience, or maybe they are a stable experience at 60 FPS, but you want to save some of that battery so it lasts a bit longer. So that's just good. It's just good news. Temperature and noise wise, honestly, I barely hear the fan. Again, they also updated this thing to for it to make less noise while playing. But not only that, but temperature-wise, I barely have any problems. I barely feel this like burning here in the back. And the reason is because, once again, what I told you before, I always control the energy consumption of the Steam Deck. I never run a game at full capabilities. I never run it at 15 watts without any kind of limits, unless it's a super demanding game, which I haven't run into that situation still yet. So for me, not a problem. My Steam Deck never runs hot, never makes noise, barely. So if you control the watts and you control the consumption, you control the FPS limits for games that don't need that 60 FPS, or maybe they can run at 60 FPS but they're not fully stable, boom. you will never suffer those issues. It's super important for you guys to know, but everybody who don't change those things, they run into those issues of, oh, my Steam Deck is running a bit too hot, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you're not putting any types of limits to it. So yeah, it's gonna run at full power. So expect it to be just hot, obviously. The library of video games you can play on this thing is just above incredible. It's just PC gaming, and that's it. I mean, I can't say more. It's PC gaming. You can have all your Steam library, or almost all of your Steam library, even the games that are not considered as optimized for the Steam Deck, even many of those games still work. So most of the important games, you will be able to play them here. Most of the indie games, you will be able to play them here. And not only you're limited to play the Steam games, but you can also play Battle.net games, Origin games, Ubisoft Connect games, whatever. You can install those launchers and play games from those launchers. In fact, I even installed World of Warcraft on the Steam Deck, and voila, it works phenomenal. It just works absolutely phenomenal. So incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. You have the same library of games. In fact, not only you have the same library of games, you can also share the same save files, right? If the game is compatible with the Steam Cloud Save system, you can be playing a game, close the game here, then the servers will be updated with your new save file. You go to your PC, and voila, you can still play the same game with the same save file in a matter of seconds. Literally, it just takes seconds for it to update to the servers, and that is just insane. So it's incredible. Obviously, I told you guys this is a PC, so you can obviously use it as a PC. You can, once you go to the switch turning off menu thing, you also have a button to go to the desktop mode. And once in desktop mode, expect it to run a computer. Like, you can use your browser, you can use any text apps, you can watch YouTube, you can do anything. It's like anything you can do in a Linux PC, boom, you got it there. You can also install Windows if you want, of course. I don't recommend installing Windows. Stick to SteamOS. It just works perfect. It's perfectly optimized. But if you want, you can still go to Windows for some reason. If you want to go to Windows, you can. And so you got that freedom. You can use it as a desktop PC. I even saw people edit videos with Steam Deck, which I haven't tried, but I've seen people do it. So you can even produce videos on this thing, which is crazy. And, you know, final point, I want to talk about this thing, and this is why I love this machine. This is why I sound a bit biased, and this is why I sound like I'm praising this thing all the time, and that's the price-quality relation. Like, here's the thing. This thing costs 400 bucks. 400. Like, I want you to sink that into your brain. To get something equivalent to this in a laptop, you probably have to spend around $1,000. So for the price, this thing is incredible. It's brutal. Now, it is true that if you get the cheapest version of the Steam Deck, which is the 64 gigs, yes, you won't have that much storage. You would have to spend more money to get the 256 gigs model or getting the 512 gigs model. But I can also tell you, you can expand your storage using a micro SD, or you can even open up your Steam Deck and you can actually manually change the SSD inside, and you can upgrade your storage by yourself. Now, you can risk destroying your Steam Deck, but it's not really hard. You just watch a couple of YouTube tutorial videos and you'll be able to do it on your own. It's not super hard. Just use a Phillips screwdriver, open up a couple of things, disconnect the battery, change that SSD, boom, and put everything back again, and technically it should be fine. However, yeah, just check YouTube videos before you do that. Again, price is incredible for what it offers. For the power it has, it's incredible. You can tell Steam and Valve is selling this for a loss. They are losing money each time they sell one of these guys. However, the strategy of Valve is to actually sell software in their hardware so they make up for the money lost selling these things. So their strategy is to earn money with software sales and not with hardware sales, which is smart. Now, hopefully it works for them. Now, something I would really love for a future Steam Deck or for a Steam Deck 2 or whatever would be an OLED screen, like an OLED screen. I'm used to playing on my Nintendo Switch OLED, and the quality of that screen is pretty darn good. The blacks are incredible, the colors are incredible. It feels really good to play on that Switch. However, on the Steam Deck, I'm not saying that it's a bad screen, but if you compare it to your iPhone or you compare it to your Nintendo Switch OLED, it stays behind. It's a step backwards, right? However, if you want to make yourself an idea of how this screen looks, go for a normal Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo Switch Lite, look at the screen, and that's kinda how it feels to look at the screen of the Steam Deck. It's kinda along those lines. But yeah, I mean, I would like to know your guys' opinion. I want to see what you guys think about the Steam Deck and if you're interested in buying one of these guys. Of course, I am new here on YouTube with this YouTube channel. It's a very, very baby YouTube channel, 200 subscribers by the time I'm uploading this video. But hey, if you're interested in video games content, even some tech every now and then, go on and subscribe and hit that like button because you will be surprised, because I think I will be doing pretty nice content for you guys, hopefully. So any suggestions, anything, whatever, go in the comment section down below. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this video, and remember, life is beautiful. See you guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.